There's so much to say. There's so much I could say. So I'm just going to give a brief-ish intro, um, and then we'll turn over to questions. That just feels so much more interesting to hear more voices. But I did jot down a few notes. I think everyone has seen that we're calling this the art of being human because it doesn't even feel right to call it a training because this is really a container with the right conditions for presence, love, support, accompaniment to support each person stepping more deeply into your innermost nature and finding your own way from inside to relate to your original self and relate with others from that place. And I know that might sound quite esoteric and probably is. And there are pathways. And a lot of them, some of them have to do with increasing a felt sense of safety in our own body and in community spaces to support the nervous system to be able to allow our authenticity to flow and allow us enough relational space and presence to recognize the way our conditioning flows in our sensory system, in our belief system, in our mind, our emotional body, and begin to really gently, courageously unwind these patterns and find ourselves more in the present moment and accessing resources that have always been within us, but, finding them and accessing more and more resources around us and from our surround in our environment and really building more meaningful lives um, in a true way. So, yeah, that's a lot of the intention behind this, and it is professionally focused. I'm hoping to call in people who are and are wanting to be um, in service to humanity, really, by doing our own integration work of who we are, our relationship with ourselves, and doing being present to healing our life journey and integrating our life experiences so that we can be more coherent and be somewhat islands of coherence sometimes in our communities, not in isolation, but create these islands of relational coherence through these practices. Many of you are already practicing in the cranial realm, and there's a way of extending that to larger relational fields and building security within ourselves through earned secure self-attachment, something we'll talk about, learn about a lot, and the practice of building secure attachment with others. And not just in a format, but in real time, living, breathing relationships. Every one of the TAs here and some of you students as well, we have long-term, reciprocal, enduring connections that add dimension and meaning to our lives. And so this is what we're doing here. Yeah. And we draw on a lot of science in kind of differing fields. This is a place where we synthesize a lot of current information that's provided from the outside, the external. And we do our best to keep that in really good balance, like all the juicy neuroscience and interpersonal neurobiology and all the words and phrases that my family's like, can you speak English now? All these yummy, very, very neat and meaningful sciences. And then we bring a balance to our our own inner experience and using these practical tools and information to facilitate our own integration internally within ourselves and in our social engagement system. Um, Again, it's so much about becoming more present and clearing our perceptual field and being in current time. And in order to do that, we often, I think probably always, need fields of connection and empathy to integrate any wounds that have happened in relationship. We need relationship to integrate and heal those places. So that is a lot of what we're doing in this training. There's some information, there's a lot of access to information, but my intention is to titrate the exposure to information in a way that supports really creating the conditions for deep internal and relational healing and integration to occur in your own developmental process. And we do a lot of that by slowing down. We can access these younger networks within our brain and nervous system most effectively. We can reshape and rewire by slowing down. So, this is a professional training, and we get the most out of it that way when we slow down and do less, in a sense. And so, that's what's on offer here. And yeah, that's a little bit of a general broad strokes. And the basic training is 10 seminars with some advanced seminars optional. And it's 5 days. Each seminar is 5 days. And we have a lot of small group work every seminar. Really, the majority of your process work will be done in small groups with 3 students with every one TA, and then more people circulating to support the small groups and the TAs in their pods. So there are more facts and details, but I'm just going to pause there for a moment and invite you to feel and notice and ask questions. Or make offerings, TAs, or anyone. We hold, yeah. You want to add something, Kirsten? I'm just going to talk about sequencing after.
Well, it just brought up the experience that I had in the training of even the classroom didactic times are very much an invitation to feel in the body how what the content that's being discussed, how it relates to your own history or others close to you. Um, and so even in those spaces, it's not just a like taking notes and like, oh, I'm gonna be a really great academic in this moment. It's a, oh, oh, that kind of, or like the orientation is slowed down and different there as well. Which again, it's like the more I know about my experience, the more I'm able to actually connect with someone else in their experience, or at least be very curious and open to what it is they're noticing in their body around the information. So just
Thank you.
that, yeah.
And that's often how we discover the true implicit experiences that are below the level of consciousness, is relating to information from a point of tracking our sensations, holding empathy around the material, both as, kind of a general experience, but also especially and also our own experiences. And so, just like Kirsten saying, the teaching is slowed down in a way that really leaves space, but is really encouraging of reflection and sensory awareness and deeper, deeper sensing of ourselves. Nice addition, Kirsten. Thank you. Mhm.
I could really kind of relate to what Kirsten is saying as well. I felt sometimes when I was going through the training like an archaeologist, but like digging energetically into those, um, into that implicit level, and yeah, found out some really enriching, great information that deepened my relationship with myself. And it continues on. It hasn't stopped. It's quite a rich journey. And I really am so grateful that I took it. And with Clara and with all of the support and everything, it was so rich. And all the compassionate holding and non-judgment, and it was really beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rochelle. Yeah, and that's in a lot of ways what we're practicing and learning. We have this list of practices that we call the principles and there are a lot of other awareness developments that are held in the context of this training and what we learn and what we're all practicing together that help to create the conditions. And the more we're in the field practicing this with other people, the more we, like they're sharing, integrate, and discover more about our own journey, our own self. And then it just becomes a very embodied process of learning to attune and hold presence with others essentially while they bloom, while they unfold themselves. And for anyone who's been at births in this way, it really is just a progression of unfolding, of becoming, of emerging our nature. And so that is something that everyone I've participated in, I should count, but at least 6 different trainings over the years to some capacity. And everyone that I've ever asked that has gone through the majority of the program feels they have learned how to deepen into these ways of holding space for themselves and others. Um, so yeah, that's really great contribution, Rochelle. Thank you. And we do this around the earliest stages of life. One of my TAs forever ago said, it's really all about just getting the clear pathway of our arrival in the womb. And then it's all from there, it all lines up. Um, but there are ways without overlay, interject, or projection of any kind that anyone would organize or integrate these things in a similar way. There's so much diversity in how people make sense of this. We just bring considerations to the field and embodied presence to these places, preconception, conception, the magic and the incredible majesty of embryology. There's, in my experience, so much resource to have in returning, visiting, remembering these stages of development. And I'm developing more material to go with the curriculum. And a big part of my contribution is meditations around early embodiment. And everyone who's engaged with it experiences a tremendous amount of resourcing from that. So we hold presence with these early stages that everyone on this call who's listening to this went through. Your body went through these developmental sequences and attachment and family dynamics and intergenerational matrix of connection and information. And especially for the family fields, both the immediate family and the larger family, including the ancestry. It takes groups to reorganize around health. It takes, when we're talking about systems, it's profoundly supportive gathering in groups in order for larger fields of influence to reorganize. And that's maybe, if your mind doesn't grasp that, that's fine. But just hold in your heart and your body a curiosity if there's anything that pings for you there. Because some of these things are quite beyond the mind and really require just breath and presence and a group of people gathering with intention for healing, coherence, and a lot of this is clearing our field. And there's support and even in the information guidance of learning. How do I clear my field? How do I become more fully myself? Well, only you can answer that from your journey and your process. And the way that the container is held does facilitate discovering how you clear, how you ground, orient, and choose. Making choice in life. And revisiting these places of our early times really helps to facilitate that. Anything bubbling? Any questions about logistics or anything, really? I really want to hear from interested party on the call.
I'll ask a logistical question.
Oh.
So, what is the group limited to? What size what kind of, yeah.
24 participants is what I'm really most committed to substance and good fit and readiness for this, because this is a life-changing program. And so we're getting better and better documentation and encouragements. I think the application is live. That does give people a felt sense of, okay, what kind of support do I need to create in my life? And I'm delighted to meet with anyone and everyone that is curious and interested. And I'm wanting to make sure that people are coming into the training with a good support system set up. And we're going to be doing more of these trainings. That's our intention. So in terms of the right start time for everyone, whether it's coming up soon this next year or a little further down the road, want to make sure everyone has their life set up so that it can really receive what this container is. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a fair amount of preparation and, it's not just the being here for 5 days. There's preparation before the module, being in a group of up to 24 people. And then the teaching team for 24 people would be 10, 10 or 11 people. And so we will have big enough spaces to make that feel good in the body. But I'd be happy if it's just the right fit of the people that are ready for this, and we have 16 people.
Right.
It's all forming. It's all forming, and I'm not in charge. I'm really aware of that.
That I understand. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yep. Mhm. Yeah, other questions, especially the practical kind. I can really benefit from those kind of questions, especially when I start talking about this stuff. Mhm. There's also home study in between to really support your growth and learning and connecting. When we have a seminar, you'll have a pod, and part of the commitment is meeting with that pod, I think a minimum of one time with your TA in between that seminar and the next. And the encouragement is to meet with your pod multiple times. I don't have the sheet in front of me, but there are a few different options. But meeting with your people in between to track and do exploratory exercises or meditations. There will be audio meditations, and there are projects too for people that are really wanting to bring this into their own clinical practice in different ways. There's quite a significant amount of individual support of how to synthesize this with what you're doing in a way that makes sense. And that's not something that we teach you, but we certainly hold the space to support and help you connect with the resources. I'm not a mental health practitioner, but we have TAs that are. And so getting the right kind of layers of support also to bring this into your personal life is where the deepest, it just grows from there, but also into your professional life, whatever that is. So that weaving and some of the things in between seminars are supportive of both of those layers of development and building the connections with people in your cohort.
I have another practical question. So do the pods change like at each seminar you end up with another group? Is that how it works?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's the way of the beads, is what I like to call it. I've had the same people or the same couple of people end up in so many pods together, and we do it by having this random, not random selection of beads from a pouch. And I mean, in one of my trainings, I had a TA, I think for at least half of my seminars, I had the same TA.
Right.
Yeah, who knows how this works, but
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, but there is a mixing and there's a sensitivity to, it is a professional training, so we're supporting people to diversify, um, learning more about more systems, And if there are sensitivities in various ways, like if we have couples coming or if we have siblings coming, there may be special considerations for keeping people in different groups so they can really do their own work outside of their primary relationship, things like this. Um, yeah.
Thank you. And another one, I think you said that the application was live. I- Is it live already or is it going live tomorrow? And then there's more information in that as well. Yes?
Yes, I think it's been live for a little bit. It's on the website.
Okay.
Um, I don't know how long. I don't look at my
Doesn't matter.
website, but my person told me it's up and
Okay.
it's on there and it should be on the training page, but I think she put it on the landing page too. So it should be easy to find, but feel free to email us. We're still figuring out all the tech and stuff. So
Good
yeah.
luck with it. With
Yeah,
the
yeah.
tech. It's our all of our favorite part.
Uh,
Just
yeah.
kidding. Thank
Ah.
you.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Yeah, it is kind of it indicates a lot about what we're encouraging people toward in terms of setting your life up and has questions about, how much space do you have and how much, what's your current support network like? How do you like to resource yourself? So we also start getting to know that part of your life and your matrix. Yeah. Yeah, Cynthia.
Does this training count as continuing education credits for massage therapy, for instance? Because that's the license I'm practicing under.
For you, you win. You win the game. Yes.
Really?
Ding, 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 ding. All the little confetti. Yeah, I have a touch therapy license. So, and I'm part of the national organization too. So I've been teaching for a long time. So for touch therapists, yes. And I am actively getting some support around the mental health continuing. So for any mental health practitioners, we can talk. Yeah, either under Myrna's umbrella because she's passed this on to me. She might be participating, and that would be through New Mexico. So we're in the works. It is my strong and full intention. I'm also kind of seeing who comes. Like, okay, is it totally necessary for me to pay them multiple thousands of dollars for that? I want to make sure it's relevant for this go around. So if anyone's a mental health licensed practitioner, please definitely let me know whether you're here right now or listening to this in the future. Because if I don't need to cross that bridge this time, I'll probably wait. But I definitely want to get everyone covered because it's an investment and it's a lot of time and energy, resources. So yes,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
going to tell you that your application isn't on your website. It's going live on the 14th of July, which is what the email is.
Okay.
So there you go.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
I thought I read that in an email. Maybe it was something else went live. I thought it was that application. We're doing so much. Thank you. So
Yeah.
the 14th.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Yeah. That's why I'm asking. That's all.
Yay. Amy, I'm really glad. And feel free to reach out directly if you want to come down for a session or tea, want to connect and
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, the training, it happens at your new place that you're moving to. Is that where it's going to be, or is it held somewhere else?
the first seminar is most likely going to be at the place that's on the website where we currently practice.
Hmm.
And then the second seminar, it's going to be somewhere in there. We're
Yeah.
finding out building permits. There's a lot in the
Very,
mix.
yeah. It's very exciting what's going on for you. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot in the moves. Hey, Andy, thank you for letting me know. That is really good to know. Andy just put in the chat that they're a mental health therapist. I'm working on it as if we're going to have people from that community joining. A lot of my clients over the years, I'd say almost most of the families I've worked with doing child-led family play, the parents are therapists, or at least one of the parents. So it's just so complementary. So want to bridging. Good.
I wanted to add something, just listening you describe the pods and the support, that I think one of the things that's so unique about this training is the level of support that's available. And it's really exceptional. And I have not come across any other training where there is so many layers and such consistent, committed support, which really allows very deep work to happen, very deep, a lot of safety and that can happen in terms of our own work, and also birthing our own professional selves in a new way. And I just wanted to give a shout out for that, because that is just exceptional and such incredible gift of this setup.
Thanks, Livia. And it's just such a juicy way to do it. I mean, it just feels nice to be with others who are doing this. And I mean, I can tell just by who's here, all of this is such a privilege and an honor to join each other in these places. And so, to just have more connection and more layers of that. And, it's really common when you're in a pod with your TA. The TA, maybe in the first seminar, might be doing more leading of the activities and the explorations, maybe. But the three participant students are rotating roles. And so as a practitioner, you have the TA there to support you. And that's just such an amazing experience to have repeatedly. And so healing developmentally also, to be learning new things or practicing things that have new elements is often what it's like. And having support there when you're in a professional seat, being with someone in their process. And then the TA also has layers of support. And it's just really, yeah, it reweaves something that I think we used to have when we were more tribal, I mean, in that optimal blueprint sense. Not that it was always like that, but it has been in some ways like that in tribal life. And, there's something that feels really settling about, I don't have to do this on my own. I don't have to have all the answers. I'm here. I'm with you. They're with me. Yeah, profoundly supportive. And that practice too of transitioning between roles, of maybe being in the facilitating role with support from the TA, and then moving into taking your own turn with the material. Taking a turn with the material and then moving into witnessing and supporting the field, or sometimes resting is the best way to support the field. So there's this practice of shifting roles, which is, in my experience, builds a lot of coherence and flexibility without compensation, helps us smooth out transitional spaces a lot in our nervous system. So, yeah, little pea pods. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, we're really excited to, whether it's the first or second seminar hosting on the land where we just moved. Feels really exciting to get to hold this community nested in a really natural setting. I'm just super grateful for that. Thanks for asking about the location. That'll be nice to be together there. And looks like we have about, oh gosh, I think 25 minutes or so. So plenty of time if there's even a more elaborate inquiry or any new context or new sharing. And I'm also going to softly open it to TAs. You've already been sharing about how this has transformed your life. And if there's anything else that you feel moved to share, just floor's open, all welcome.
One
Or your
thing that,
experience. Yeah, go ahead, Rochelle.
okay, thanks. One thing I was remembering as you're speaking, Clara, is about like the friendships that, the people that I met during the training and the friendships that were long lasting and have stayed with me. Yeah. And it's been such a gift of that experience, the friendships that remain. Yeah. That have just been such a support for, a personal support, but also a professional support as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my little addition.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. Yeah, I feel you. I feel like my peers in this work and all the many years in my 20s of process workshops of womb surrounds where I was actually really learning social skills. I was raised in Alaska as a very feral upbringing. Took me a while to become socially acclimated. Yeah, I see you, Jules. You know what that means. Yeah. And those relationships where we work through those things and discover and bond and discover ourselves in connection is just nothing like that. There's nothing like it. It's just so precious. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that in. Yeah. Okay, Cynthia, good night. Thank you so
Good
much for joining.
night.
So
Thank
nice to
you.
meet you.
Great to
Mhm.
meet you all. Bye.
Bye for now.
And there's a piece that came up for me too about when you were talking, the request for people to be very, very well resourced. And I was remembering back when I did this, I had two pretty young kids, like 5 years old and 8 years old. And I got so much out of this. I mean, I was struggling just to keep my head above water at that point. And I didn't think I really had a lot of resource available in my life at that time. I was very much in a codependent marriage. And so I didn't really have friends to lean on. I had the marriage, but we did have a benefits plan, which I was very happy about. So I was able to get that kind of support. Yeah, and then now my kids are 20 and 23, and just really being able to take the time to really slowly integrate this in my life. And the very last time I worked with Myrna, which would have been, I guess, the summer of 2019, I felt like I had it very well integrated. Like I didn't have a warble between working with her or being in I think we were doing 2 week, the summer sessions. Were they 2 weeks long? Yeah. So I was up there for a month, and then I was able to just walk back into family life, and it was kind of seamless. And at that time, then I had started building other female relationships. I lived in a co-housing community. I live close by to other good friends. But I really found a way with like the reorientation of how to be human. Like what I ended up doing with this training was I opened a daycare. I was like, I don't know what to do with this work, and especially having young children. And what I ended up doing was my early childhood studies and opening a daycare. And that's been my research center for the last 10 years. Yeah, so I was able to integrate this in my life in a way, in a certain kind of way. You know, I wouldn't have said I was well resourced, but I mean, it came together, it's coming together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Aaliyah. And it's really good to name that too. Historically, the majority of people that come through trainings like this don't necessarily facilitate womb surrounds. That may or may, and if you don't know what those are, there's some information on my website and we can talk more about that in subsequent calls too. But that's not necessarily an end goal. That can be for some people. And the majority of people, yeah, start a daycare. And then I know Aaliyah is also starting to do womb surrounds or has started a while ago to do womb surrounds. And it's a very organic, impulse-based process of ready from the inside. And so, a lot of the people I'm still in touch with, are mental health therapists who have integrated this work into the way that they hold space for people, or somatic experiencing practitioners. Many of the somatic experiencing practitioners I know who have done training in this field, it's like a deepening layer to that whole field. It takes a lot of the somatic work into the next deepening place, and all kinds of somatic practitioners, body workers, cranial therapists, but it's not necessarily like a go through step ABC, become a womb surround facilitator. Works like that for some people, but that's not necessarily a goal. It's often, okay, how do I weave this into what I'm doing in a way that just supports what you're already growing into? And so it's a little different than just checking the boxes, if that makes sense. Can really feed your gifts. Yeah, Amy.
One more question. Did I see somewhere that the if one wants to do the training, and that there's a requirement or an offer to do something like a womb surround or do something before that, or am I making that up?
Yeah. No, that's the encouragement. I really encourage people, if you're curious about this training and you have not done a womb surround with anyone, but you're feeling you're feeling an impulse and a call to this, I will find a way to prioritize. I'm doing womb surrounds quite a lot, and so is Livia, and I think Kirsten maybe, and Aaliyah, and people, and other trusted people in the world too. I know you're really close to me, but I'm just saying that kind of generally. And so I have womb surrounds available. And so that's another thing to just reach out. And I'm mostly just doing them from now until the training starts in Bellingham. I'm not going to be traveling to do them just because I'm prioritizing people that are drawn to the training. And if you're drawn to the training, you'll be coming to Bellingham. So I'm
Exactly.
just kind
And
of.
what's the time commitment for a womb surround prior to the training?
Yeah, a lot of the ones I'm doing right that I have scheduled right now, I have 3 days, two separate 3 days, so they're shorter with fewer people that are 4 people, so 4 participants. And I have 2 5 days, 5-day seminars, so with seven, maybe 8, but usually 7 people. And I don't have concrete dates for those 5-day
Mhm.
workshops yet. I'm just in conversation with multiple people about making it work because I'm prioritizing potential students, I'm doing more flexibility dancing of getting it so the right people can be in the right place at the right time. And there is likely one happening in the Bay Area, but I'm just waiting for people to respond, and that one's probably full. Probably full. But it's also not set in stone. So there's a lot of, you know, mud drying out is what it feels like, getting solid. Getting solid on the dates. But yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, it's a really good way to get a feel for just the field of this work, to be in a womb surround. Mhm. Yeah. Good. Any other questions or shares? Just looking around at all your shining faces. Yeah, Kirsten.
Yeah, I guess just in terms of this work and the training, this piece that I didn't realize was going to be happening, but I think I haven't done all of the possible trainings out there, obviously, but it's so focused on just the earliest pre-verbal experiences. It's so oriented to creating safety, so what the body remembers and has registered um, kind of comes forth and is witnessed and is held in such a beautiful way. Um, and there's such a way that it, like for me personally, showed up during like the seminars in different ways. Like you had mentioned, Claire, you were going to talk about sequencing a little bit, but there's ways where what would happen during like in the before the day or two before the training or in the middle of the training or right before the end, like it's like, oh, this the challenge that's happening here, like I was staying at a friend's place and I got locked in one of the seminars and I actually called Libya, come help me, get me out. And I couldn't get out. And it was such this like, I don't know, like it just touched on so many levels, being trapped in a room, and the fight and the figuring out how to get out of that space. And it just like what an amazing gift to have that experience and then come into the space of the training and have that be held by people, multiple people that could just really let that whole experience unfold through my system in a present attuned way because so much of my early experience like my labor when I was being born was induced, so that was so fast and so intense, and then disconnect. Like baby goes to the nursery, mom goes to recover. And so, it's just a beautiful example of how we can be with what arises, and it's just a perfect container to be within process and have that held to kind of unfold in a supported way. So one little example, but yeah.
How birth,
What's that?
how birth imprints show up in the present and just such mysterious ways for the opportunity of something new to happen. Such a good example. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah. And so it's so not this academic space of like, oh, these are the possible interventions and like write them down, and it's such a lived through the body experience. And these opportunities, again, it's been said multiple times, but to explore what does it mean for me to then learn how to support someone as they're going through and discovering what their body memories are with so much support. And repair, like, oh, like nobody's perfect. And I remember once with Myrna, like something was happening and I was all frustrated and she's like, do you want to do some creative opposition with me? Like she was just like, I'll listen to what's challenging you. And I want to engage. I want to hear it and bring out your frustration and I will accept it and interact with it so that it can be seen and witnessed and expressed. So yeah.
Thanks, Kirsten.
Good.
Yeah, it's what we're aiming for as a facilitation team is really to mutually support each other in providing a field of secure attachment in action. If for anyone who's studied attachment theory, we're practicing the principles of relating in a way that helps to cultivate a deep felt sense of relational safety. And just by doing that, I know it sounds really simple, but by supporting each other and being in connection in a way that supports that, a lot of nervous system healing can occur with whatever is emerging from within each participant. And we're also mutually supporting one another in the team in that way. And it's like Kirsten's saying, it's a practice. It's not perfectionism. It's living truth and folding in resource and being attuned to ourselves and others in a good enough way. And thanks for those examples. Oh, really good. Good sharing.
I could jump in here again too, just listening to Kirsten and remembering my first few experiences. I've done a few womb surrounds, and every time I would do a small piece of the work having to do with some part of my preconception or my conception or my implantation or all the different stages of growth. And every time I would experience this tremendous amount of energy coming back into my life, into my adult life, from owning those pieces and finding safety and regulation and all of that. So yeah, it's really powerful experience if you allow yourself, if you allow it to come to you and you surrender to it in a way. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you, Rochelle. That feels like a maybe nice note to have some integration. Is there anything else anyone's just bursting to share? Okay. Well, then with that, I'll just invite us all to just orient to our own midline, seat, breath. I'll just express I'm deeply grateful again, continuously. Very grateful for your time and presence here and your curiosity and intentions that led you here. And just wishing every one of us the very next thing that supports that glow of becoming, and just really appreciate everyone and thank you for taking the time. And TAs, thank you for being here and building the field and being available and present. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Mhm.